Morning, peeps. Good morning, everyone. All right, let's see what there is to talk about from the world of boxing today. Let's start with this one. Savannah Marshall operation delays Claressa Shields clash by 4 or 5 weeks. Bit disappointing, but it's going to happen. So, yeah, and I can't wait for it to happen. I really can't. I remember I did a poll, and I said, which fight, if it was on at the same time, would you tune in for? Claressa Shields versus Savannah, or Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. And I think Claressa Savannah won it but won it. That's how much people are looking forward to this fight. Boxer versus puncher. We know that Savannah Marshall was the last person to beat Claressa Shields, and that's being played and played. Why not play it out, right? But there's genuine animosity between these two. And I know, look, some people don't like it. I think people don't like it if it's not real. If it's real, people all on board, and I think people are all on board with this fight. So look, although it's disappointing that it's delayed because it was supposed to happen. Well, it was supposed to happen back in December. Do you remember? It was supposed to happen ages ago, but it keeps on getting moved and delayed and pushed. But it's going to happen, and I just wonder whether or not the delay is also where it happens. I mean, people have spoken about it happening in the Northeast. I think Claressa coming over here is one thing. I think her going directly into the backyard of Savannah Marshall's maybe just pushing it a bit too much. I do think if it's marketed correctly, it could do the O2 Arena. Not selling it out. You don't have to. See, when people say, oh, it does the O2 Arena, it doesn't have to sell out the O2 Arena. I've done a few DAZN matchroom cards that don't sell out the O2 Arena. I mean, you just black out one side or black out the top. But I do think Claressa Savannah could do 10,000 with a couple of maybe decent undercard fights underneath it. So I think that's fair. I think Claressa coming over is one thing. I think her going directly into Savannah's backyard's maybe a bit unfair. So I think O2 Arena, or maybe even, and again, this is closer to Savannah, but maybe even the AO Arena in Manchester, I think it's a good one as well. But yeah, I can't wait for it to happen. I really can't. I've said, since it was announced that they were going to fight, I've always said Claressa, and I'm going to stick with Claressa. I just think Claressa's just the better boxer. And I know Savannah can hit hard, and look, she can, and she's a big girl. I've interviewed her a few times. She's as big as me, like in terms of height. So she's what, 5'11". 5'11", Savannah Marshall. So she's a big, strong girl, but I'm going to go with Claressa Shields to get this one done. Should be interesting though when it happens. Joe Smith, I thought Bivol had a great chance to beat Canelo. So a quick sip of this. Please don't get pissed off that I'm drinking a latte while filming this. I just need a drink. And the funny thing is, the more you get pissed off, the more I do it, because I'm childish like that. Joe Smith, I thought Bivol had a great chance to beat Canelo. Yeah, I think a lot of people did. A lot of people did, especially those that know boxing. It's just that Canelo had this kind of mystique about him where you genuinely thought he can't lose. I'm not joking. You genuinely thought, what's it going to take for Canelo to lose? Hence why there was this Usyk talk. And some people genuinely thought he could beat Usyk. Like boxing people. So look, I think a lot of people gave Bivol a chance, but again, it is the mystique of Canelo. Talking about that fight, we're led to believe done 600,000 pay-per-view buys, or 600,000 plus. So that could be what, 610, 615, whatever. I know this because someone tweeted out that the fight bombed and done 300,000, and it was a disgrace, blah blah blah. And Eddie Hearn, who doesn't normally respond to, like, Eddie Hearn normally responds to like boxing people. Like if Mike Coppinger tweeted it, Eddie would respond. If Dan Raphael tweeted it, so and so forth. But I don't know who this guy is. But anyway, Eddie responded and said double it, or something along those lines. So I'm just doubling it. So look, if it did do 600,000 plus, I did do a video about a week ago, didn't I? Saying I think it would do around that number. And I said I think that number would represent a good number. I think it's a good number. 600,000 pay-per-view buys is good. I think we all have this magical 800 to 1 million. That's not easy to get to. 800,000 to 1 million pay-per-view buys is not easy. I know people are going to say, but he did that against Caleb Plant, and you are correct, or at least that's what we're led to believe you are correct. But I think it helped because of the little push and shove and the right hand from Canelo. That helped. Was it a right hand or was it a left? I think it was a left, wasn't it? that helped, all that helped. People that are on the fence, like, oh, I'm buying that because of that. It sold it so well. You had nothing like this with Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol, you know, as good as he is a boxer, just a nice, humble, quiet guy. And sometimes that doesn't help the sell. It doesn't help the sell. So I always thought it was going to struggle to get to that, again, magical 800,000 to a million mark, just because you sometimes do need a bit of animosity. Sometimes you do need a Derek Chisora flipping a table. You do need it sometimes. And if there was nothing like that, it was always going to be tough to get over that figure. So I think that represents good business. You even look at the undercard. There wasn't much on the undercard. You had Montana Love versus Gabriel Valenzuela. That's not really going to push the needle either. So this was really all on Canelo. Coming off the back of the big weekend as well, of Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. Did it get the push that it needed? I felt like Serrano Taylor, and understandably so, got a real big push. And maybe it's a case of you don't really need to push Canelo, but well, you do. You do need to push Canelo. So again, I think that's a good number. DAZN's first pay-per-view. I guess for DAZN, and look, I'm sure there will be someone that does all the maths behind the scenes. As long as it's not a loss, and I don't think it was a loss. What was 600? What was it? 600,000. Was it $90 or $100 a pop? It's not a loss. It's not a loss. So yeah, I think that's a good number. If anyone from DAZN or Eddie Hearn was expecting bigger, then I think they've been I think they've got it wrong. If they was expecting more than that, yeah, they would have liked it to get to 7. But it was never going to get to 8. I'm sorry, it was never going to get to 8. You need, for 8 or 9, you need someone that brings out the venom in Canelo. You do, because you need then the people that are on the fence, the casuals. Look, Canelo, I think Canelo could fight anyone and it gets 500 to 600. But if you're going to try and get the ones that are not quite sure about it, don't really want to spend $100, you need to see a side of Canelo like you saw against Caleb Plant. You need to see that side. And the only person fighting right now, I think, that can bring out that side to him is Jermall Charlo. He's the only one. Because Jermall Charlo will then bring Jermell Charlo. Errol Spence will be there. It will be venom. It will be venom, and we'll see a side to Canelo we haven't seen. And I think that's what brings out the people that are very much on the fence. They will then click buy or whatever you need to do, scan the code immediately. Immediately. He's the only one that can do it. I don't think Golovkin can do it. That's why I don't think Golovkin, Canelo, it's a big fight, but I don't think that touches the 8 to a million. I don't think David Benavidez touches the 8 to a million. I really don't. I think it is only, there's 2 fighters that do it. And there's 3 fighters that could do it, but there's 2 realistic, because these are the 2 that have been mentioned. Errol Spence at 164, catch weight, does it. I'm telling you now. If Errol Spence was to beat Terence Crawford, and look, it's a massive jump, but Canelo's doing these kind of jumps. If Errol Spence was to beat Terence Crawford and then say he wants that catch weight fight of Canelo, I'm telling you that does $1 million immediately. Immediately. Jermall Charlo does $1 million, I think. I really do think $1 million. Fucking chuck Jermell Charlo in the equation as well. There is something about that. I also believe there is something about an African American taking on a Mexican. I don't know what it is. Having been an American now, I believe there's something about that as well that sells. Bivol just doesn't bring that to the table, unfortunately. Just doesn't bring it. So again, for me, decent number. I don't know what you guys think. Decent number. More to that, what's Canelo going to do next is more interesting. I now firmly, because Eddie's mentioned it a few times now, and I'm going to ask him tomorrow. We're speaking to Eddie tomorrow at the Craig Richards Boatsi press. People, I've got a busy couple of days, you know. I'm going to Bilbao tomorrow evening for Leharaga versus JJ Metcalf main event. I'm going to Bilbao for that and then coming back. So I've got the press conference for Boatsi Richards in the morning, and then I go to Bilbao in the afternoon. The fight's on Friday, then we fly back, like the fastest flight back you can get, to obviously do Richards Boatsi in the evening on Saturday. So look, good few days. Anyway, back to it. I'm interviewing Eddie tomorrow. I'm going to ask Eddie which is in front. Is it Bivol trilogy, or sorry, Bivol rematch, or is it Golovkin trilogy? I don't even think He fights Bivol. If he fights Golovkin, I don't think he fights Bivol after that. I think he fights Golovkin, and then I 100% believe he has the fight against a John Ryder or the winner of Boatsy Richards, which isn't easy. Again, these guys are a lot bigger than him. Canelo, I was up close and personal with Canelo. I'm telling you now, there are 154 pounders out there bigger than Canelo. Like, I've been up close with Liam Smith, like shoulder to shoulder. I've been now shoulder to shoulder with Canelo. Liam Smith's bigger than Canelo. So what Canelo's doing fighting these guys at 175, I do not know. I do not know. There's so much bigger than him. But yeah, I think it will be Golovkin trilogy. I think it'll be a fight in the UK, which would be incredible. And then, remember, he's only got a 2-fight deal with Matchroom DAZN. So that one in the UK is not even a given. And then, I mean, do you do the Bivol rematch, or do you cross the street and do the Jamal Charlos, the Benavides, I dare say the Errol Spence? Questions, questions. Questions, questions. Big fight coming up May 28th. Rolando Romero versus Gervonta Davis. Rolando Romero says that 1 round, Tank's going to get knocked out from the first punch that hits him. He's setting the fight well. He is. And that's why they've done it again. Obviously, look, this fight was supposed to happen in, was it November or December? Rolando Romero obviously had those issues outside the ring. It's that Cruz coming. Normally you think, okay, Rolando Romero's lost his opportunity. Let's not do it. We don't need this. They've decided they'll do it again because they know he sold the fight quite well. And it will do good numbers. I think this is going to do good numbers on Showtime. Gervonta Davis is, I think, turned into a guy that will eventually crack that 400,000 to 500,000 barrier eventually. It just takes the right dance partner. I don't think Romero's the right dance partner, but I think he's getting there. So, yeah, it's going to be a good one. Numbers come in for Charlo Castano. It says it peaked at 832,000 viewers. Showtime's most watched fight in nearly 3 years. I still don't think that's great, you know. I still don't think that's a great number. 832,000. Is that supposed to represent good business? I guess it is, because it's Showtime's most watched fight in nearly 3 years. I don't know. I'm not quite sure if that's a good one. Inoue Donaire rematch to air live on ESPN in the US. I think this fight is June the 7th. Let's have a quick look. I'm trying to work out what time it is. Remember, we did the live watch along for Golovkin Murata. That was in Japan. So we might do it for this one. Yeah, the 7th of June. It's very likely we do a live watch along for that, because that's going to be good. I do think Inoue this time will get the job done a lot better than their fight of the year, which was, what, 2019. I think Inoue's just... Surely Inoue's learned from that fight, and Donaire's got a lot older. Even when Donaire had that fight with him back in 2019, I think it was a shock to see Donaire being able to compete with him then. So yeah, I expect Inoue to get the job done and sort of cement his place as a top 4, top 5 pound for pounder. Anthony Yarde, I'll be looking to destroy the winner of Beterbiev versus Smith. Big Yarde fan. I'm going to put that out there before I make my next statement. I'm a big Anthony Yarde fan. I thought the way Anthony Yarde, I thought the way in which he dealt with Lyndon Arthur was solid, spiteful, mean. Best Yarde I've seen. Best Yarde I've seen. I like it. I liked him how he handled Tunde a bit in the build-up. Do you remember all that when he said, like, Tunde, like, shut up, let me speak type thing? I like it. I don't like. What I don't like is this. This I don't like. This, surely you've got to build on that good win. Now, it's not even a case of, okay, there's a fight planned for Anthony Yarde. We don't even know what's going on. Anthony Yarde fought Lyndon Arthur last year, back end of last year, but last year. We're now in May. So Anthony Yarde hasn't done anything for 6 months nearly. And he's talking about the winner of Beterbiev versus Smith. The winner of Beterbiev versus Smith, no disrespect, is probably going to fight Bivol. So you're then looking, so what then? What then? Now, Eddie Hearn has come out and said he offered Yarde, no, I don't know if this is true or not, but Eddie Hearn did say he offered Yarde £1 million to fight, but Whitesea, it was turned down because they want to fight the winner of Beterbiev versus Smith. Anthony Yarde wasn't put on the undercard for Fury Dillian White because he was supposed to fight the winner of Beterbiev versus Smith. What are we doing here? Are we just waiting for the winner of Beterbiev versus Smith? Like, what are we doing? Like, surely you build on that. There's good fights out there to be made, man. Great fights out there to be made. I don't understand what's going on. Like, you've got to build on that good performance. And right now, we're just waiting for the winner of Beterbiev versus Smith. Like, we're seeing good domestic fights. He could have another one. Remember, the Lyndon Arthur one was only because he lost the first one. Have a good one now. Callum Johnson's there. Dan Aziz is there. Have a good Callum Smith. I don't know. Guys, we'll talk about this one. And we'll probably end on this one, actually. Josh Taylor versus Jose Zepeda being worked out. I find this very strange. I thought Josh Taylor was going to 147. I thought the weight cut at 140 was an issue, and that was a result as to why his performance against Jack Catterall was so lackluster. And I thought the idea was we're going to 147. Now all of a sudden we're staying at 140, although he's been stripped of a belt, so he's no longer undisputed. But now we're staying at 140. If you are staying at 140, there's only one man you should be fighting, and that's Jack Catterall. There's only one man. There's only one man. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what's weird about this Josh Taylor? And by the way, I don't mind his attitude. I actually like it a little bit, but some people really don't like it. But he's becoming very unlikable to a lot of people, which is a big turnaround from the way he was before. Like, the way he was before, he was very likable. I remember, like, even in the O'Hara Davis fight, O'Hara Davis was supposed to be the CUNT, and Josh Taylor was the nice and humble kid from Scotland. Now it's completely turned around. Look, if I'm Josh, and look, I don't know about it harms his legacy if he doesn't take the Jack Catterall fight again, but if I'm Josh, you do the right thing and you fight Jack Catterall. You do the right thing and you fight Jack Catterall. You've got to. You really have to. I don't know what this means for the belts, but I mean, surely you have a word with Zepeda, maybe a bit of step aside money. You speak to the other governing bodies and you say, look, I've got a bit of a problem. I've got a bit of a problem in the UK. I need to run back. That's what you do. Because, yeah, I find it a bit unfair that Jack Catterall won't get the opportunity. And I like Jack. Jack's not letting it go. Jack's still going on and on and on about it. He's not letting it go. And he's starting to get a lot of public support. Not just public support, but a lot of fighters are starting to support him as well. And say, look, Josh needs to do the right thing. We'll see. We'll see what Josh does. Josh doesn't look like the kind of person that gives a fuck what the public or ex-fighters think. So we'll see what he does. Anyway, ladies and gents, peace and love.